Hello and welcome to fairbutfirm.com. My name is Joe Cortez, former international boxing referee. Well, this past weekend we had some great boxing. We saw a couple of rising stars. One of them, to be exact, is Bryant Jennings. Bryant Jennings beating Artur Szpilka from Poland. They were both undefeated. Now, Bryant Jennings is 18-0. He looked pretty decent, kind of reminded me a little bit of the Holyfield to some extent. He never fought much in the amateurs. He's 29 years of age, and basically he kind of raw when it comes to experience, but for the little experience that he has, he looks like a well-seasoned fighter. Szpilka, who was from Poland, was an Olympian, decent fighter, undefeated up until Saturday night. And he stayed in there with Bryant Jennings, but Bryant Jennings needed that extra work anyway, so it was a good 10-round fight that looked pretty decent. I think we got some hopes there in Bryant Jennings. And you got a couple other heavyweights, American heavyweights, Wilder and the other kid from California, Chris Arreola. Those are two other heavyweights that are in the mix. So I think we're starting to come up a little bit in the heavyweight division, which is much needed here for the U.S. On the other card of the Lamont Peterson fought Dierry Jean. Dierry Jean, decent fighter, looked impressive in his fight prior to fighting Lamont Peterson Saturday night for the junior welterweight IBF title. And they were mixing it up a little back and forth at the beginning, and then Lamont Peterson poured it on at the end and beat him a good 12-round decision to retain his junior welterweight IBF title. So Lamont Peterson, there's some talk about Lamont Peterson fighting Danny Garcia next. So that should be an interesting match. Danny Garcia, undefeated, decent, has good defense, has good offense, decent puncher, great boxer. So it'll be a good match to see. Then we have coming up this coming April, finally the rematch. You have Manny Pacquiao against the fighter that everybody thought that Pacquiao beat, Timothy Bradley. Timothy Bradley, a tough fighter. A lot of people say he has Pacquiao's number, but we'll see, because it was a highly controversial decision last year here at the MGM Hotel in Nevada, and the fight will take place again at the MGM Hotel. So let's see what Manny Pacquiao has against Timothy Bradley on the rematch. Timothy Bradley says, I'm going to beat this guy. I got his number, so it'll be an interesting match to see. Boxing lately has been on the rise again. I think 2014, they're going to probably surpass 2013, but this is just the beginning of the year. Some fights are not lined up yet. But a lot of people want to see is Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Is that going to happen September of this coming year? Who knows? But Pacquiao has a few years left, maybe not a few years, maybe a few fights, maybe 1 or 2 fights left in his career. Same thing with Mayweather. Mayweather has a 6-fight package deal with Showtime, and he's already committed to 2 of those fights, and this will be his 3rd fight with Showtime. And Mayweather says next year will be his last year, 2014, because I guess when he wraps up the 6-fight package deal, he'll retire. But you know what? I've heard fighters saying that in the past. You look at the great old, I say old, but he's really young. Who are we talking about? The light heavyweight, Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins said he was going to retire when he was 40, when he was 41, 42. Now he's up to 48. And he's still fighting. He promised his mother that he was going to retire, I think, when he was 40 years old. And he's still going at it. He looks great, just like another Mayweather. Take care of themselves. They're up in age. I mean, Hopkins is way past Mayweather. Mayweather's 36. Hopkins is 48. But these two fighters, they consider old-time fighters in any sport. But in boxing, when you're 30, you're basically like, somebody will say, that fighter 30 years old, I don't want to part of him. But look at these two guys. They're 2 great superstars, making a lot of money. The fans love to see these guys. I can't say all the fans love to see these guys, because a lot of fans say that they're both boring. but they're two of the best fighters in boxing today. Forget about all the young guys. These guys are 36 and 48, and they still look like they're 22 years old. They fight like 22 years old. They don't get hit, so their body's not really taking a pounding. The reflexes are still there. They're not shot fighters. They're looking decent. They got good boxing skills, good defense, and they make good paychecks, especially Mayweather. So Mayweather and Pacquiao for September. Come on, let's do it, guys, for the fans. Let's do it for the fans. You know, the promoters, you guys can do it. Come on, one more time, guys. We can do it. It's been done in the past. Get these two fighters together. It'll be great for boxing. The Philippines has a couple of up-and-coming fighters. Donito Donaire, you know, lost his title. He came back and he beat Big Darkanian. And, you know, let's see some fights like that come back again, because these small little fighters, they're small, but you know what? They give you heavyweight competition when they fight. They're great fighters, and I want to see some of the younger, smaller division, lighter division fighters mix it up again, because these guys throw over 1,000 punches per fight, and that's what the fans want to see, a lot of action. They don't want to see any boring fights. Boring fights, you know, the hell with that. Let's see the fight, but these guys come toe-to-toe, or somebody who has the good boxing skills and show you the sweet science of boxing. You know, jab and move, and good lateral movement. Good, I mean, you don't find too many great boxers out there today. You get good fighters, they slug it out. But I'm talking about great boxers. The sweet science, finesse, a lot of moves, hit and don't get hit like Mayweather. Hopkins, it's another one that doesn't get hit that much. But I like to see fighters that show you the skills. It takes a lot of talent to develop skills. You have to be a thinking fighter to be in that ring when you're moving. You're throwing that jab, combinations, left, right, bob and weave. Not many guys. I see a lot of fighters, and Mike Tyson gets upset when he sees these fighters that they come straight forward. Throw punches, but coming straight forward. You got to be moving the head, constantly moving the head, and bobbing and weaving. That's what boxing is all about. Hit and don't get hit. So I'm hoping that 2014 will bring a lot to boxing. Showtime, HBO, Friday Night Fights, of which I'm involved with as well. It's a good, great show, Friday Night Fights. That's where you have to develop the young talent, and you get them into the championship level. So I think Friday Night Fights is doing a great job. I'm involved now with the WBO, with the NABO. I'll be one of the supervisors there heading the NABO championship fights. That's something new that was just handed to me recently, and I'm looking forward to working with these young fighters and get them developed into the, you know, the higher division, be top contenders. So being involved with the NABO to me is an honor. Paco Valcasal, the president, called me up and offered me that position, which I graciously accepted, and looking forward to doing some work with the NABO around the country and different parts of the world. With that said, guys, take care. God bless. See you next week.